Hi, this is Chris with your weekly crypto update for the week of August 8th, where I take a look at the macro factors that drive the crypto market. Okay, let's just take a look at the top 3 things in my notebook. Number 1, higher lows. Number 2, bonds consolidating. And number 3, strength in Europe. Okay, first thing I want to look at is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin midweek had a bit of a pullback, but it corrected sharply at around 37,500 and volume accelerated to the upside. So what it did is it put in another higher low. The previous higher low was around 29,000 and this higher low is around 37,500. And what you're seeing is that's just another bullish confirmation that the previous couple months was a consolidation and not the end of this bull market. Okay, Bitcoin's up 8% week over week. That's another strong week. But again, for me, the most important thing I want to see is I want to see those lows get bought. I want to see a bounce with accelerating volume after each low. Okay, so let's go take a look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum was up 17% week over week, and Ethereum just had a slight pullback to 2,500. And then bam, you see that move to the upside on accelerating volume. So what you're seeing is in crypto broadly is you're seeing that every dip, at least so far, is being bought. It's being bought in size. Money's coming in off the sidelines. Money's rotating out of other stuff. It's coming into crypto. I've talked to tons of people over the last couple months that are new to crypto, but they want exposure to this market. And that's what you're seeing. Any little pullback, you're seeing money and you're seeing investors step in. Now, Ethereum, look, Ethereum's got a very interesting supply and demand dynamic working right now. I just watched a video with the CEO of Real Vision, Raoul Pal, where he claimed that only 13% of the free float of Ethereum is available. Okay, the rest is either being staked or hoarded. And remember, money's coming in off the sidelines. Okay, so that supply, that only 13%, that's declining every time. So it'll be interesting to see how that supply and demand dynamic plays out over time. If you were to compare the charts of Bitcoin and Ethereum, it looks like Ethereum is much more bullish. Okay, that price action is reflecting that supply and demand dynamic that I just spoke about. And broadly across crypto, pretty much everything was greens. You look at Cardano put in a higher low, Uniswap up 25% week over week, put in a higher low at 21. Luna up 19% week over week. Solana up almost 16%. So look, it was a great week for crypto, and that's just another confirmation that the previous couple months was just a consolidation, and now they're going to press for a move higher. Okay, so let's look at the second thing on my notebook, bonds consolidating. Okay, so again, I talked about this a couple weeks ago where the rotation into bonds where yields fall, okay, that's a rotation into safety. So when the yield falls, the price goes up. That's telling you that bond investors are overall bearish. That's why they're seeking safety in the form of bonds. Well, what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing a little bit of indecision. I'm not gonna claim that bond yields are done falling. However, it looks like they're done at least momentarily. And what that's telling me is there's some indecision now. So flows, liquidity is flowing out of bonds and into other assets. Particularly, I would say crypto would be the biggest beneficiary of that. All right, now on to number 3. Strength in Europe. So you've got Germany up 1.4% this week, and with volume accelerating plus 23% week over week. The German DAX index hit an all-time high this week. So a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that Germany was looking a little creaky. It had a rough week a couple weeks ago, but it's bounced back nicely, and it's now back to its all-time high. France up 3% for the week. The French index is at an all-time high. England up 1.3%. Spain has been the dog of Europe. It's up 2%. So what you're seeing is you're seeing some strength return to Europe, which is only going to buoy the crypto market. Also, even Asia, which has been probably the weakest economy out of all the majors, had a strong week last week. So China was up almost 2%. Japan up almost 2%. Hong Kong up 1%. So what you saw last week was just broad strength overall. You had the S&P 500 at the all-time high. NASDAQ is at the all-time high. So last week was an incredibly bullish week. We'll see if it carries through. What I've seen in the American indexes, particularly in the S&P 500, is you've got a lot of hedges on, which is going to prevent a lot of downside. So you're going to kind of see a slow grind higher in the S&P 500. And I think as long as you've got those hedges on, as long as you see that slow grind higher with volatility dampened, that's going to help crypto. Because remember, volatility in the overall broader equity space will find its way into crypto. Okay, so now on to a couple of things that I've been mulling over for the week. So there are a couple tokens and a couple blockchains that do similar things. Particularly one, there's a problem that needs to be solved that's basically integrating different blockchains. Now, Polkadot is one of the blockchains, probably the most prominent one that proposes to do this. Another one is Cosmos, and their token is Atoms. Now, they propose to solve the same problem, basically interoperability between all the different blockchains. You got hundreds of blockchains. If you want money, liquidity to move in an efficient manner, you need interoperability. Therefore, they're solving a large problem. Okay, so what I wanted to understand was, number one, I wanted to understand what's the difference between these two. So I only did it at a very high level. Like if I was to try to speak about the technology, I would probably look foolish and risk looking foolish as it is, just because I don't know a ton about these. But my understanding is that DOT is a little bit more of a closed system. It's the validators have more power and governance versus Atoms, which is a little bit more, the users have more self-sovereignty. The user of the blockchain is, they have more responsibility security-wise, whereas DOT, the validators are responsible for the security. So I would think over a long term that Atoms, based on the crypto ethos of self-sovereignty and just individuality, I would think that Atoms would prevail in the long term. However, I'm really more concerned about short-term price action, because again, I think the money that's going to be made, at least over the next couple months, that's really what I want to look at. So what I wanted to look at was, okay, where are these assets from their lows? You take a look at DOT, since its low, it's up 99%. Meanwhile, Atoms, they're only up 38%. So what the market is telling me is that right now the market's voting for DOT. Now this could be because DOT has more marketing behind it, it's got more support. Atoms doesn't really have that marketing machine behind it, but that really doesn't matter to me. I'm really just letting the price action dictate for what I want to do. The second one I wanted to look at was Uniswap versus SUSHI swap. So Uniswap, both of these are decentralized exchanges, by the way, where they allow you to swap tokens peer-to-peer in a truly decentralized manner. Now, Uniswap is the first mover. It was the first decentralized exchange. It was endorsed by Vitalik Buterin himself. What Uniswap does is allows you to swap Ethereum for other tokens. Now, SUSHI was actually a fork of Uniswap, and it's very similar. However, the main differentiator for SUSHI is that it allows you to swap more tokens than just Ethereum. So Uniswap is Ethereum based. SUSHI has multi-chain operability. And I think in the long term, again, SUSHI seems like the long-term play based on the crypto ethos, because that interoperability is going to be very key. However, Uniswap, maybe they decide to implement that at some point. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But again, I want to get back to price action, and Uniswap was up 25% this week, and it's up 115% since its low, whereas SUSHI was up only, looks like it was up 17% this week, and it's only up 69% from its low. So they both made a nice move upward. But again, what price is telling me is that the market is voting for Uniswap over SUSHI. Now, both of these, in the terms of DOT versus Atoms and Uniswap versus SUSHI, both of these are large cap versus smaller cap. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because usually what I've seen is that the larger cap coins make the move first, and then the smaller cap coins make their moves a little bit later. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm going to keep an eye on that. So the last thing I want to end on here is signal strength. So I spoke earlier about the supply and demand dynamic that's going on with Ethereum. So for me, that's the number one signal strength right now. You're getting a big push, supply is compressed, you've got a setup for exponential price appreciation. You've also got EIP 1559 coming out, which proposes to improve the volatility of transaction costs, which has been a problem that's plagued Ethereum since its inception. Basically, it's great to use and it allows you to do all these incredible things. However, transaction costs have gone through the roof, especially as price has appreciated. So EIP 1559 proposes to alleviate that, or at least decrease the volatility, which I think will only bolster adoption and bolster price appreciation. Then you've got Solana. Solana is one of the best looking charts in crypto. It barely touched 34 and then bam, it was off back up to 40. Cardano is very similar. The charts of Cardano and Solana look very similar. They've closed above the weekly trend for the past 2 weeks in a row. Both very bullish signals, very little pullbacks. Every dip's getting bought. So for me, these are the top 3 signal strength. All right, I'll see you guys next week.